right. Clap.
Here we go. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back for another installment, episode 6.
Episode 6. Here we go. All right. This is Damon.
This is Mike.
And this is
the
a damn good show.
Damn good, too.
All right. Well, welcome back. We appreciate everyone who's been tuning in. We see that there's been a lot of likes. We've got a lot of people joining and subscribing to all the different places. If you haven't noticed so far, we're kind of like a little bit everywhere. So YouTube's the main place to get the video. We're out on Facebook. If you want to reach us on Twitter, we do have Snapchat, but everything else is like, there's like 9 different places on podcast if you just want to listen to us. So we'll get that information out to you, the quickest way to listen. But we appreciate everybody. Keep sharing it, keep liking it, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, definitely appreciate everyone, family, friends. Make sure you guys are just distributing it throughout. Share, like, and also comment. I think after each show, we ask you guys to kind of give us your opinion on new topics or previous topics that we discussed. That helps us get better, and we look forward to producing some more.
Yeah, man, we've been getting those too, so we appreciate it. Some are good, some are not so good, some are funny, some are not so funny, but we take all input.
Everything I've done is funny. Everything.
For the most part.
Yeah.
If you haven't noticed, we like those clips. Yeah. So before we get started, how was the weekend?
Weekend was
good.
Good. Weekend was good. I did so much of nothing.
We did
weekend.
3 things. Jack, diddly, and squat is what we did.
Right.
I also tried to tune into the ridiculousness that's called the NBA All-Star Game and that weekend.
I thought it was the most exciting NBA All-Star Game of 2019. Hands down. There was no other game, no other All-Star game in 2019 better.
I really can't believe it. You know, yeah. I actually was tuning in to the slam dunk competition because I used to always watch that.
Yep.
You know what got me tuned in?
With commercials?
No, the early 90s when they showed Michael, Dominique, Spud
back
Webb.
In the day, yes. Back in the day,
Clyde
yes.
Drexler. They showed all of them. And I'm sitting there at the TV with eyes wide open. I'm like, oh, man, I remember sitting at home as a kid watching this stuff.
They tried to use nostalgia. They attempted to use nostalgia to get you to tune in.
They had to.
And then drop the dud on you.
I'm not going to lie. They hooked me for a while. And then I actually watched the slam dunk competition. And it was like, some of it was okay, but most of it was a snoozer.
I'm telling you, as I stated a few minutes ago, I think it was the best All-Star game of 2019. I think the judging for the slam dunk contest was exceptional.
Perfect.
Exceptional. Perfect scores for 5 attempt dunks. You get a 10 for every missed dunk, and then it just calculates up to a 50. Hands down, I just want to commend. I don't know if any of those judges will ever watch our show, but if they do, great job,
Love
guys.
You guys.
Great job.
Well, the only other thing I did
next year.
Only thing I did was play softball, so I'm a little sore this weekend. We started our new season, so that's what I'm into. All right, well, that's all our personal stuff.
Yeah, I mean, really, nothing happened this weekend.
Lackadaisical weekend.
Hung out with the family, and that's always enjoyable. So.
Cool. All right. Well, what are we getting into today?
Well, I think today is a good time because we were talking about travel and how to financially make those trips.
Yep.
But we also wanted to kind of take a step a little further and talk about debt.
So we're going to get into money issues.
Yeah, because
money.
I don't want people to take what we said or what our topic was last year and, just kind of go out there and say, blow the bank, blow your budget on trying to make a trip to Zimbabwe or someplace like exciting, and then you're in financial trouble. So
actually, the only thing I'm disappointed about, you just said Zimbabwe. We didn't talk about traveling to Djibouti, and we missed that opportunity.
We did miss that opportunity. next time on episode.
I tried to tee it up the week before.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so money, finances. Where do we want to start?
Well, I wanted to start. Debt? Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest aspects of what's hindering a lot of people today.
Yeah.
I saw a post online. It was on Facebook that said that when you're having a kid, and I'll kind of round this out. When you have a kid, it's like having a best friend who thinks you're rich.
Of course.
How'd it go? It says when you have a kid, it's like having a broke best friend who thinks you're rich. That's what it is.
A broke best friend that thinks you're rich.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what it is. And I use that analogy because, kids nowadays, when you're going to the store and if you bust out a credit card or a debit card, they think that it's an infinite supply.
It's just a card
of revenue. Yeah, that's all they see.
It's just a card.
But sadly, there are a lot of adults that act and to some extent think the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I've personally been there, so it's worthy of actual discussion. So, well, let's be clear. First of all, we're not financial advisors, so don't go out there saying, "Hey, Damon and Mike told you that blah blah blah." This is just advice, friendly advice from us. Because the one thing that I found that we talked about is that when we grew up, I don't feel like we were trained about finances. Like, so I took classes. Obviously, we all took math, but in economics in high school, I think most of us took that. It's usually a requirement. But I don't think they really taught people how to manage their money and how to manage their finances. And we've gone through some growing pains. I know at least I have personally. It took me a really long time to make the light bulb go off, about what it is I need to do. And I'm now helping people, in particular in Boy Scouts. I'm a personal management merit badge counselor. So I have to teach them how to.
Did not know that was a badge.
It is. So you have to learn about planning for purchases. You have to learn about saving for money saving for the items that you want to buy. And then keeping track of just simple bank accounts, checkbooks, things like that. So yeah, I think credit is probably a good place to start because I don't think a lot of people understand it.
Yeah. So some of the data, because we're trying to get better on collecting information so we can share it with you guys. But some of the data that we collected, and this is a collection of information from the U.S. Census Bureau and the Federal Reserve, and information dates back from 2013 up until today. And for those of you that were unaware, the median debt per American household, and this is on credit cards, it's about $2,300. And then while the average debt is at $5,700, so that means the average American is carrying about $5,700 in credit card debt.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. Was that age range is like just total, right?
What? The
age range for that?
Well, the age range varies. But it is ranging from 18 on up, I think, to 79 years of age. But since you were talking about age range, the average or the age range that carries the most debt is between the ages of 45 and 54.
Really?
Yes. And they carry about $9,096 in credit card debt.
I don't know why that seems a little surprising. I kind of would have expected people in their 20s and 30s to possibly have that carried.
Well, as I was reading and doing the research, primary reason or why they, I think they came with those numbers, they say the average American between those ages are retired or not necessarily retired, but kind of leaning towards retirement.
Yeah.
And so they're on fixed incomes. And so particularly during those age range, they're either trying to prepare for retirement or, homes. There are a number of different variables that came into play when they were looking at those numbers. So that's why that age range was the highest.
It's just interesting now that I'm thinking about it. I mean, they want to probably live off of credit while they're waiting for their retirement to max out, to kick in. And then of course they don't want to blow through that, so they start, spending that. But that's an interesting find for people that age.
Now, what do you think? What region of the U.S. you think has the highest credit
the highest debt?
Yeah.
Oh wow. It'd have to be somewhere down this way in Florida.
No, it's not.
No.
Actually, Florida is number 12 with credit card debt.
Okay.
But number 1 is Alaska.
Oh, Alaska.
All right, so yeah, number 1.
If we're thinking, so Alaska or Hawaii would probably be up there, right?
I didn't see Hawaii. Hawaii's on the list, obviously. They did all 51 states. Hawaii, I don't recall, but I did see number 1 for the lowest was Ohio, surprisingly.
Yeah, I can see that. It's probably a little more conservative up there. People are different with their money.
Well, I think part of it is because people see things nowadays that they want, and new 4K TVs, new cars, new motorcycles, a variety of different things. Actually, new phones, new iPads. I would say those are probably more common now, and they're putting those things on credit card. They're putting them on credit cards. Not having cash, not using their debit cards for them. And I was reading not a statistics, but a statement on Americans should not use credit card debt or use credit cards to purchase things that they don't need.
Well, okay, yeah. So it's doodads. It's like things that they think they need. There's still always going to be keeping up with the Joneses, right? So you live next door to someone and they get a new car, they get a new bike, your kids get a new computer or something, and you're like, oh, well, I want to make sure that, back to the parents being the endless, bottomless pit of money, maybe that's why too, right? If you think about it, if they've got kids and they want to keep their kids in the good graces or whatever, that image and trying to keep up with people. And incidentally, that's just a loss all day long. That's just, to me, I hate to phrase it this way, but I've always called it a loser's mentality. And it just is, because you're going to lose every single time.
Yeah.
If you're trying to keep up with people and you're trying to just keep up with the Joneses, it just isn't going to work.
Or keep your kid happy.
Yeah, you're trying to keep your kid happy. Yeah, happiness, it's a cliche, but it's not found in material items.
Yes.
It just isn't. And the sooner you figure that out. And
I know quite a few families, and again, not, putting anyone on blast, but I've come across individuals and family members that, it's about the kid, which is true in essence of that statement, but there's a balance in there. If you're putting yourself in financial hardship because, you're trying to keep little Tommy or little David happy, that's long run, that's going to impact you in a negative manner and not really fix or help any particular situation. So, I
agree 100%.
So for me, looking back, I was that individial that was always about gadgets. I was, I had to have the latest. I had to have the newest.
We're still all about gadgets.
Yeah, but I've gained a little bit more control.
Yeah.
I would say no. I've gained a lot more control over having to have that next, big thing. And, and that's where a lot of people run afoul. It's almost like a drug. It's a drug. It's because you see that new item, that new shiny device, and it's like, oh, I gotta get that. I don't have the money for it,
right?
But I gotta have that. I gotta have that next, the latest, greatest.
Go back to how it's made simple now. Let's just look at cell phones. That's a prime example. Cell phone companies are the providers make it easy for you.
Yeah. Make it real easy.
Yeah, like even Apple, you can get on that program where you get a new iPhone every year and you trade it back in. Secret sauce, by the way, not only do they make money up front, but they make more money on the back end when they resell that device. But they make it real easy because they'll just roll it into your plan, right? So you get an unlimited plan for, I don't know, whatever they go for these days, $60, $80, and then for an extra $15 to $20 a month, you could just have a new phone all the time.
Yes.
So you're essentially leasing a phone just like you would lease a car.
Yeah.
So if you're comfortable having a payment every month, then it works for you. So I know my brother, for instance, he gets a new phone all the time. He's on one of those plans. That's what he gets, and it works for him. Now, but that doesn't always work for everybody else.
No.
There's other people who will pay $800 or $1,000 for that phone every 2 years or every year or whatever. I tried to keep up with that for a while, but I'm more of a 2 to 3 year kind of person. And a lot of that just has to do mostly with the technology.
Well, I'm all about keeping my phone as long as it's working.
Yeah, I tried to for a couple times, but I did trade it in a few times.
I used to be that person. As soon as the next one came out, I had to get it. But in your statement about the leasing program, all of the major carriers do the leasing program, but just, and I'm not encouraging anyone to go out and purchase anything, but there are other options that are out there where you don't have to lease. There's still a payment process, but at the end of that payment process, the phone is yours.
Right.
And again, with the major carriers, you're doing that leasing process. You're paying on that phone, and when the lease is up, a lot of people don't realize that you still have to pay for the phone as long as you have it.
Right.
And then, so even if you've paid for the phone, if it's $1,000 and over the course of the lease you pay $1,000, if you're still using that phone, they're still going to charge you each month for that phone, even though you already paid for it. And so you have to turn it back in.
See, I didn't know that one.
Yeah, you have seen that one. You have to turn it back in to them after you pay for it. And if you want to keep it like to say, no, this is mine, and don't pay any more on it at all, then you have to give them an additional X amount of dollars. And, sometimes it's about $120, $150
to buy it out or whatever.
To buy it out, even though you've already paid for it.
Of course. Yeah. And this is just one example. This is just cell phones, right? We could talk about anything.
Yeah.
But the key, if you really look at the root of the problem, it's all these companies now, and it's kind of the way that technology's gone. They piecemeal it out of you, right? So you could go away from your TV bill, right? Your cable bill. And now you can get Netflix, Hulu, and all these services for $5, $12, $15 a month. And when you look at it, you're like, oh, it's not that big a deal. But if you start looking at your Netflix account, your Hulu account, your Apple Music, your Spotify, all that stuff combined, it's all nice that you're able to break it up and you got rid of your cable bill or your satellite bill. But now you're paying for all these other little things. And you know what? You lose track of them.
Yeah.
It's super easy to lose track of them. And that's where, that's where they got you. If you haven't noticed, and a lot of people have, but a lot of people still won't do anything about it. I know I've got subscriptions to stuff that I'm like, do I really need to keep it or can I get rid of it? And I've gotten rid of a couple here and there, but I know I've got one or two that I really don't need. If I put that in air quotes, need. But I still have them out of convenience in case that I want them one day.
So now that we've talked about debt and we kind of given a couple of pictures on, what can lead to debt, what are ways that we can stay out of debt? What do you think some steps are that we can do, provide to the damn nation on avoiding getting yourself in trouble?
Well, first is holding yourself back. It's discipline. It's more of a mindset to me. But if we were really to go back and tell people how to start, it's really about educating you to begin with. And for me, and I can go through what we do in our household. It may not be right for everybody else, but we allow our kids to manage their own money. We happen to have a bank that provides youth spending accounts, like a youth checking account, and also a youth savings account. So we go through a process. If they get money from something, whether it's birthday or just from a present, or we just, we don't really do allowances yet. We've been talking about doing that with our kids, but I don't know how we're going to work that yet because we've never really done it. But whenever they get money, we mandate that they can put part of it in their spending account, right? And they can do whatever they want with it, right? Because that's their money. That's part of being responsible, and that's part of you earning, getting it however you got it, and us not being too prescriptive about how you use it, right? And the other part of it, and you pick the percentage, and we recommend 50%, but usually it's 20 to 50% of whatever you get, you put in your savings account and you forget about it. And over time, so our kids have been doing this about a year now. And over time, I think one of them, even like a week or two ago, asked me, he's, "Oh, Dad, I didn't realize I had this much money in my savings account, whatever it is, $100 or $200. I said, well, did you do much for it? He's like, well, no, I just kind of stuffed it away and didn't think about it. I said, well, that's the mentality you have to have as you get older, is whatever you bring in, you've got to be able to set some of it aside, and you live on the other part, and you don't overextend yourself.
Well, for me and my son, we just recently started with him. We got him his own debit card. For him to use. We've always had a savings account, so for him to put money away and start saving. But for our philosophy, and again, there is a number of different steps that you can do to, one, educate yourself, but also educate your kids. We do a 20-20 80.
Okay.
Or wait, 20-20 60.
20-20 60. Yeah.
For the 20, we do 20% where we save at the minimum. So you got to save 20% of that. At least. And I got to correct those numbers. It's actually 20-10 70.
Okay.
And 10%, I have them tithe.
Okay.
That's important for our faith. And then the 70%, he can use that however. And so when I say that however part, he doesn't have any bills or anything like that right now. And I'm encouraging him to save more than the 20%.
Sure.
But I want him to kind of have that mentality, because when you are at a point where, you got to pay bills, you got to pay rent, you got to pay, you'll have an entertainment aspect, budget. And so that 70% should really cover all of those bases.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to teach him and work with him now on. And a principle that I would say probably in the last 6 years I've been following myself.
Yeah.
I got to practice what I preach. kind of thing. And so I think that's an important step. Damon has his numbers that he's worked with his kids. I have mine, and I'm sure there are a number of different stories or examples that you guys can provide that you've probably either done for yourself or for your kids.
And we're still tweaking them.
Oh yeah,
I'm still learning myself.
Always a learning process.
So one thing that we did with our kids a long time ago, I was really into the Rich Dad Poor Dad series. If you've ever seen that, Kiyosaki or whatever, I forget his name. But I was really into that, and I thought it was interesting. So I went out, and the kids were younger, and I bought this board game. It's called Cash Flow for Kids. And again, I'm not advertising for it. I just think it's really neat. And it's for ages 6 and up is what it says, but we actually started ours when they were about 5. But it goes through like a board game, and it's fun to play. And it goes through different things from what's necessities, like what are your actual bills? What are things that sustain life versus doodads? That's why I used that name earlier. Doodad could be anything. It could be video games. It could be candy. It could be just something you want. It's not a need. But it goes through there, and you get penalized for buying doodads, and you get rewarded for potential investments and things that, actually improve your standing in the game. So it's just kind of a neat way that we thought, if you have young kids out there, I highly recommend it. I'll put a link in the description when we get done here. But that was one avenue that we took, aside just from sitting down with our kids and explaining to them about money. We don't hide too much from them. We want them to understand, this is what your mom and dad do. This is what we go through on a daily basis. And like you, I mean, a year or two goes down the road and we've got 2 kids driving. They're going to have gas money. They're going to have
insurance.
They're going to have,
maintenance costs.
Right. And then if they happen to get a girlfriend or something, they might have to pay for the movies and things like that. So I want him to be prepared, and my daughter, to be prepared for when that happens, so that they at least have an idea. I don't fully expect them to get it completely until they're older. But I think now's a good time to at least get into that discussion, and so they at least understand it, because they're not being taught in school.
No. And so
in my experience with that anyway.
Well, I will say for me, so we can kind of wrap up the storyline. I want to give you just some examples that I think will be beneficial. I also encourage everyone to do your own research. Nothing that we say, because again, we're not professionals at this.
Not at all.
So we're just giving you some personal experience, some insight, and a little research that we've done. But typically, one of the things that they've always said is pay with cash, pay with a debit card. If you don't have enough money, at least, or one of the principles that I was told over the last 5 to 6 years is that you should have double the amount in your account for any particular item that you want, outside of a need. Like if it's just like a little doodad, as you were saying, or hey, I want to go get a phone. If you're going to spend $1,000 for a phone and you're going to pay it outright in cash, you need to have about $3,000 in your bank account before you go out and buy that. That's just one aspect. Now, that's a lot of money. A lot of people can't, or don't have that type of income or money saved. But that's a principle that you should think about. And so if you're looking at getting a phone or getting a device, save up to it. Use your debit cards, pay with cash, and then some of the other steps, just for students, teaching your students or helping them down the road. I know your son, both of our sons are A students. We go to different schools, but your son takes AP classes. I was doing a lot of research on that as well. Students that take AP classes are completing college course studies in high school don't have to take those classes when they get to college.
Right.
So those are fewer classes that they have to take, less time that they have to be in college.
Less money out of my pocket.
Less money that you have to spend. So there are a lot of different steps, a lot of different things. Do your research to have a good constructive plan so you don't get into debt. So you're able to navigate the world and have emergency funds. That's another important thing. Having an emergency fund requires some time. It requires a little research. It requires a little time to put together a plan. Putting together a budget as far as, hey, this is what we spend, to eat each month, because we got to do that. This is what we need to keep a roof over our head. This is what we need for transportation. There are a lot of different elements, and they will vary depending on families. They will vary depending on regions. And so you gotta put your own plan together. And if you need some help with that, there are a lot of resources that we will put in the links below. You can check those links out yourself, and hopefully we'll guide you down a road that will be beneficial for you and your family. And then just the last thing, I use an app, and again, we're not advertising for them, but I use an app called the Mint.
Mint, yeah, I used to have it.
Which Mint for me works really well. It allows you to kind of keep all of your financial.
You can tie them all to all your different bank accounts and
to
stuff.
all your accounts, so you can see when money is going out, when money is coming in. It also lets you know when your due dates are done or up for your paying your bills. So there are options out there, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, there's probably 100 different ways to do it, right? Yeah. I mean, but we choose ours, right? They may not be the best for everybody, but they for us it works. And I think the school one's actually interesting that you just brought that up, because I mean, you don't have to be in AP courses, but some of them have dual enrollment.
Yeah.
And then there's actually tech courses. So if you're someone who you're not into the AP route and you're into hands-on kind of work, get the tech courses. Encourage your kids to do the tech classes or dual enrollment in high school, because all it's paid for by the county or wherever you live, right? So take advantage of that for sure. That's definitely that's a good point. You don't have to pay it now, and you won't have to pay it later. So, cool.
So obviously, this was not the sexiest conversation that we've had, but I think it's, as we stated from the very beginning when we did episode 1. This is a show where we're going to talk about things that we feel are important, and hopefully they will have a positive impact on each of you. You can take that information and share it with others, and hopefully we can all be better for it.
Incidentally, we're making inroads with finally getting some guests maybe on board here.
Yes.
Yeah, we're getting close. We're getting close. So if you have any ideas about guests, I've had a few people reach out and they're interested in actually talking, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you, and we're looking for ways to do that. So we're trying to keep things fresh, trying to keep things different. Again, things are interesting to us, so we want to bring them to you. Hopefully they're helpful. Hopefully if you're someone, I have a friend that I play in a softball league, and he uses our podcast and to pass time at work. But he says it's entertaining and it's fun, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Right on.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so we got people out there, but don't forget to subscribe.
Comment.
We need you guys to comment. Actually, I'm more interested in the comments actually than anything else. But if we can get you guys out there, but like it and subscribe it. If you're on YouTube, hit that little bell at the top. Get our notifications. So again, to reiterate what Mike said last week, we want to put episodes out every Friday. That's our goal, and hopefully we can kind of continue doing that. So
all right.
Is that it? We wrapping
That's
this one
it.
up?
Wrapping it up. Number 6.
All right, man. Well, hopefully you guys can learn something from that, get something out of it, and continue making money, saving money. Don't go in debt, and
don't go in debt.
Be happy.
Be happy, folks. Be happy. Thank you, guys.
All right, man. Well, this is Damon.
This is Mike.
And this is
a damn good show. Peace.